Good afternoon. This is Father Rayappa in A Kattupadi village near Vellore, South India. Today I'm going to talk about Centesimus Annus, article number 39, in which Pope John Paul II, Saint Pope John Paul II, discusses about human ecology. So this human ecology, the word is becoming very popular in the church vocabulary. Actually, Pope John Paul II started it in Centesimus Annus, and Pope Benedict developed it in Caritas in Veritate, and in Laudato Si, Pope Francis has really explained so beautifully what human ecology is all about. So, Pope John Paul II, he talks about human ecology. Uh, all begins in the family. Human ecology begins in family. Uh, uh, in a family environment where children are born and they find out their gender, their nature, and they find security in the family, and they explore their sexuality and individuality, and they grow up, and also they find the dignity of human person, and also they find the moral tenor. There is ethics, there is moral law, there is consciousness, and there are values. All these kinds of stuff can be learned only in family. For that, we require good parents, father and mother, who could set a good example in the family. So, Christian family, a married family, um, and the father and mother, uh, they bring out children. So that is the basic unit. That is the fundamental unit of the society, where a family gives you a perfect setting for human ecology. And also Pope progresses in the article number 39. He talks about uh, when there are no moral laws and values, when there is no ethics, it is called culture of death, he calls it. Very strong words. So we create only culture of death in the absence of any moral laws and ethics or values. Rather, in a family, we can create a culture of life. See? Culture of death and culture of life, where everything is respected. There is God, and there are laws, and there are values, and there is ethics. Only in that environment we can promote the culture of life. And the Pope is telling that even in his own encyclical, John Paul II wrote Solicitudo Rei Socialis before Centesimus Annus. He is quoting that encyclical um to give importance uh, to the life in the family. In the family. And this paragraph is very interesting towards the end, and he talks about freedom. We value human freedom. When there is no any values, human freedom goes berserk, berserk. So when there are no values, family is at stake. That's why abortion creeps in. That's why when we don't want children, we abort the culture of death, because human freedom is not limited by ethics or moral tenor or values. So life is exposed and endangered. Their only onslaught of just autonomous. You think that you are autonomous, and people think when there are no values, you don't respect anything, you become autonomous. That autonomy is not justified. That is what Pope is writing in this article number 39. So let us say goodbye to the culture of death and say yes to culture of life. In fact, in Laudato Si, Pope Francis's encyclical on ecology and environment, we find the same article, Centesimus Annus 39, is quoted by Pope Francis about culture of life and culture of death. So let me read from Centesimus Annus, article number 39. Saint Pope John Paul II writes as follows. 39 paragraph. The first and fundamental structure for human ecology is the family, in which man receives his first formative ideas about truth and goodness, and learns what it means to love and to be loved, and thus what it actually means to be a person. Here we mean the family founded on marriage, in which the mutual gift of self by husband and wife creates an environment in which children can be born and develop their potentialities, become aware of their dignity, and prepare to face their unique and individual destiny. But it often happens that people are discouraged from creating the proper conditions for human reproduction and are led to consider themselves and their lives as a series of sensations to be experienced rather than as a work to be accomplished. The result is a lack of freedom, which causes a person to reject a commitment to enter into a stable relationship with another person and to bring children into the world, or which leads people to consider children as one of the many things which an individual can have or not have according to taste, and which compete with other possibilities. It is necessary to go back to seeing the family as the sanctuary of life. The family is indeed sacred. It is the place in which life, the gift of God, can be properly welcomed and protected against the many attacks to which it is exposed, and can develop in accordance with what constitutes authentic human growth. In the face of the so-called culture of death, the family is the heart of the culture of life. Human ingenuity seems to be directed more towards limiting, suppressing, or destroying the sources of life, including recourse to abortion, which unfortunately is so widespread in the world, than towards defending and opening up the possibilities of life. The encyclical Solicitudo Rei Socialis denounced systematic anti-childbearing campaigns which, on the basis of the distorted view of the demographic problem and in a climate of absolute lack of respect for the freedom of choice of the parties involved, often subject them to intolerable pressures in order to force them to submit to this new form of oppression. These policies are extending their field of action by the use of new techniques to the point of poisoning the lives of millions of defenseless human beings as if in a form of chemical warfare. These criticisms are directed not so much against an economic system as against an ethical and cultural system. The economy, in fact, is only one aspect and one dimension of the whole of human activity. If economic life is absolutized, if the production and consumption of goods become the center of social life and the society's only value, not subject to any other value, the reason is to be found not so much in the economic system itself as in the fact that the entire socio-cultural system, by ignoring the ethical and religious dimension, has been weakened, and ends by limiting itself to the production of goods and services alone. All of this can be summed up by repeating once more that economic freedom is only one element of human freedom. When it becomes autonomous, when man is seen more as a producer or consumer of goods than as a subject who produces and consumes in order to live, then economic freedom loses its necessary relationship to the human person and ends up by alienating and oppressing him. So in this paragraph, you can note some very, very strong words. Pope calls family setting as an environment of life, or he calls it sanctuary of life. It's a beautiful word. So the father and mother, the family, where life can be received, so it becomes the sanctuary of life. And also, he calls the abortion, the people today it's very widespread. Pope John Paul II calls this phenomena as chemical warfare, because today there's so much of technology, so much medicines, so much of Medicare is going just to destroy babies in the womb, and all this science and technology is used to kill the babies when they are helpless. So Pope is calling, it's a very strong word, chemical warfare. Chemical warfare. And towards the end he says, man is not only the producer and not only a consumer, but he has a consciousness. When he produces, when he consumes, everything is subjected to moral order. He is not free. When you say, my freedom is autonomous, then you are risking your own freedom. So there are set of rules, there are moral values, there are bioethics, and there is moral tenor. So all these things should come to inspire human beings. When you employ all this and you become more integral, you are not isolated, you are not divided, you are more integrated, and our community is integrated, our world is integrated, the future generation is also integrated, because we are not trying to kill them, they are also included. This is more integral. Okay, Centesimus Annus, written by Saint Pope John Paul II, article number 39. Please read it and you will find it inspiring. Happy reading and thank you, and God bless.